All right. Welcome to the Fox Den. I am sitting down this morning with Zoe Share. Zoe, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. Let's just jump right in. Tell us what it is that you do for a living.
What do I do for a living? Great question.
What a question. What a
What
what
a
a question to start
question.
off.
I mean, I would just say that the simplest answer is for a living, for my life, I try and just live every day to the fullest.
Carpe
So,
diem?
I've tried so many businesses and done so many things, and now I'm at a point where it's not only about the money, and I'm not saying that because money is very important, but it's also about how do I want to spend my time? What type of energy do I want around me? And when it comes to opportunities and navigating my career, it's really, I really have to use that as my pulse points to make those decisions. So, how do I make a living? I've spent my career doing tons of different things. I started my career as a kindergarten teacher, and then I went to business school and I opened a marketing agency that I ran for nearly 9 years, and it was called Schmooze Media. That was a really amazing time in my life. I was in my 20s and early 30s and had, got to 15 full-time employees and 25 part-time employees, had both of my children through those years, and ended it in the pandemic years. I was so unhappy, postpartum, young children, really feeling trapped by the business that I had built and lost about who I was now that I was a mother, left education, didn't want to be doing my marketing agency anymore. And that baby who was born in the pandemic is now 5, and my daughter is 8. And I spent the last 5 years just trying out so many different things. I had another startup that didn't work out, and I had a year contract here and a 9-month contract there and a 6-month consulting gig there, and it felt like trying on a lot of different shoes to see how I wanted to walk now that I was back at the beginning again of figuring out who I wanted to be as this grown-up, non-agency owner, mom, teacher, person.
Right.
And so that's where I was about a year ago, and my husband said, "No more. Take a break." And I had never taken a mat leave. And so I took 3 months, and I wasn't allowed to say yes to any jobs or any consulting opportunities. And I started working on a book, my own novel. And that is sort of how this next chapter began, Zoe's Story Labs.
What was the name of the book?
So the book is not published yet. It's an adult book. It's a novel. And, most people would expect me to have written something about social media marketing or entrepreneurship, but I went right back into creative writing. Um, I'm not going to talk about the book yet. I'm not ready to talk about it yet, but the act of creative writing and not working on something that was productive in terms of making money, doing something for me, something to work on the inside in that time, it started to make a lot of space in my head that I didn't realize that I had been missing because I had just been go, 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 have the kids, work the job, get the next consulting gig, head of marketing this, duh. And when I just really slowed down and put down the computer and the laptop and the tablet and every device and just took paper to pen, something happened for me in terms of my well-being. And then my children said to me, "Well, Mommy, why do you get to write a book and we don't?"
Is that what
And
they actually said to you?
yep. And I was like, "Of course you can write a book." And they're like, "Not stapled together, Mommy." And that paired with my daughter asking me if I would run a lunchtime club at her school. "Mommy, come and be at lunchtime, da da da." It's what sparked this next business, which is Zoe's Story Labs. It started as a lunchtime creative writing program at my kids' school.
So tell us more about this Zoe Story Labs. What is it actually, and what can it offer young people? Is it just something where if you want to write a book and you're 8 years old, you can just tap into Zoe Story Labs? Like, how does it actually work?
Great question. So I'll take it back to sort of simplest core concept. So Zoe's Story Lab is a program. It's a program and it's a product. I'll explain that more in a minute. But basically, children can brainstorm, write, illustrate, edit, and then we professionally publish their book in an 8 to 10 hour period of time without any screens. And essentially, what happens is so I've developed the curriculum, I've developed the templates, how it all works, and then also the software, which is what allows us to magic the books into ready to print books. So the child never has to see a screen, and then they get the output is a print quality, a real published book that the child is able to call their own. So this one, as an example, is by a grade 3 student named Parker. She wrote and illustrated the entire thing about the author. Here you go. When Parker
Right.
was little, she grew up dreaming of writing a book. Then one day she saw with her mom Zoe's Story Labs, and Parker's dream came true.
Oh, isn't that sweet?
It's very sweet. So this was done in an after-school program. We also have camps, and then we have this product, the bookmaking kit, as an at-home product that you can do the grown-up with the child. So it comes in a lot of different iterations, and I also own the entire printing process as well.
Wow. So, do you know how many books have been published through Zoe Story Labs?
Yeah, so I started the program in January 2026. So it was the first 20 kids. We've now done 50 kids' books since then, and on track to do about 250 for the fall. And that's because we'll be going into 15 to 20 schools this fall to do this program, and as well as the at-home book sales. So essentially, it's a creative writing and illustration club, but then there's also the at-home version.
Wow. And
Yeah.
we were talking before we started recording this morning about filling one's cup and, receiving pleasure in our work. Is this something that is filling your cup more than what you were doing in the past with the marketing? How do you compare those two?
So something I had to come to terms with is that I am an entrepreneur through and through, and that entrepreneurs, it's not an easy life to be an entrepreneur. It's very glamorized, but it's really a roller coaster of highs and lows. And I didn't always want to be an entrepreneur. I wanted to be more stable and have a stable job. So I would say that it's really, this is a real expression of who I am and the program that I would have loved as a child. Not only did I create it for my children, I really, if I could have sat down for 8 hours in a room full of other children who also wanted to sit down and write for 8 hours and draw, and then actually get a real printed book at the end and feel like my words matter, my stories matter, I'm important. It doesn't matter what my mark is. It doesn't matter, it doesn't matter. I'm good enough.
Right.
Um, there's nothing more Zoe than Zoe's Story Labs. This is who I am in a business, and it's all of my life experiences that brought me to this point. Um, it feels like the best time spent that I've ever had in my career.
This is time well spent, isn't it?
I don't know how to say that, like, helping children express themselves, time well spent. Helping children know that their voice matters and giving them that moment where they can stand there on the last day of the program or even get this mailed to them, and the parent takes a picture of the child seeing their drawing, their work, their words turned into this, time well spent. The children, I'm also able to turn each book or each community that does the program, they're able to have a bookstore, could be password protected if they wanted. They can sell their book, and they can also raise money for the charity of their choice. So I've built the software to do that as well. So time well spent. Um, Parents who are calling me saying, my child is behind in their literacy scores. My child doesn't have friends. My husband passed away, and I don't know how to get him to open up to me. This is a tool. It's not just about reading and writing and grammar. It's about honoring who a child is and letting them know that they matter. And when we see a child doing the program a second or third or fourth time, uh, which, I'm just at the beginning. I've only been doing this for 7 or 8 months now. I've seen some kids do the program 2 or 3 times because they love it so much. They're like, I'm going to write one twice a year until I'm a grown up.
Right.
It's a gift. It's a gift. It's letting a child know that they're in the driver's seat of their life and that they can choose. They get to choose. And I get to choose. This is my life. I only have one,
You only
right?
get one. Yeah.
So I don't take it lightly, the fact that I got to a place where I was well enough to create something that's so true to who I am, and that I get to bring that to children and their families. I don't take it lightly. It's an incredible opportunity, and it took me a lot to get here. So I'm not gonna mess around.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. So it obviously shows that you really care about this job and you're making a huge difference for sure. I'm going to ask you a question. This is probably an obvious answer to it, but you
Yeah, sure.
mentioned that you don't use any screens in the process. Needless to say, we're inundated with screens. Everyone's fighting. Every parent at this point is constantly battling their children, tug and war with the phone, the tablet, the computer,
Yeah.
get outside, go do something, go touch grass, whatever it is. Is that the reason why you've taken screens out of the equation, because you don't want them to get sucked into that? Or was that a conscious decision?
It was a very conscious decision. Um, there's a lot to say here. So I'll start by saying that as someone who ran a marketing agency that was focused on social media, after many, many years working on that business, I was unwell, right? You can't put it down. You're addicted to this small box where all of the bad feelings go away with a swipe, with a
Sure.
scroll.
Sure.
And I see children, and I see the struggle that my peers and colleagues are having with their children to compete with the draw of the instant gratification machine. This is a dopamine hit, and whether or not your child is neurodivergent, this is something that it's very hard to compete with. I think there's a lot of incredible things that are capable because, things are possible because of technology. So let me be clear. I use technology, responsible adults use technology to make this business work. But my belief as an educator, as a parent, is that we should be able to find ways, especially in the age of AI, to use technology to empower children to be screen free. I think as adults, we should challenge ourselves to say, how could we do this and protect the child? How can we do this and protect their brains so that they can develop in the best way possible? So when I designed this program over Christmas break, it wasn't just let's write a story. It was paper, pencils, and pencil crayons. Simple, low stimulation, very regulating. So the methodology that I've designed that's behind this program is called the Story Through It methodology. And it's my belief that through story, we can do hard things. We can process big emotions. So by getting a child to say, this is the problem, this is the solution, here's all the things they tried to get to the end, they're actually writing a story while they're doing the process themselves. They get stuck, they have a hard time, and then they feel angry, stressed out, frustrated. I want to give up on my book. A lot of the point of this program is you can do a hard thing without a screen. You can story through it. You will start it, you will end it, and then you will hold it in your hands. And you don't know what a child or any adult, for that matter, is going through. And that you don't know what finishing something you've started can do for their confidence, for their literacy, and frankly, falling in love with things that have a sense of delayed gratification around them. So
Yeah.
everything I do is designed on purpose. And in fact, the facilitators who we've trained this summer to go into the schools in the fall all had to do the same program that children did. They all had to write a book. And
Okay.
they all had to feel those feelings of, wow, this is really hard. I don't have that much time to do this. It's not going to be perfect. I'm probably going to feel disappointed. And then watching them feel surprised at the end when they're seeing their book covers. I did it. I
Yeah.
made it. I made this. It's something that's achievable. It's a hard, challenging experience that's achievable for learners at all ages. And it's very modular, which is what I really wanted is accessibility. It's essentially Build-A-Bear for bookmaking.
Build a bear. Yeah, absolutely. So there's no sit in front of the computer and ask ChatGPT to write you the story. There's none of that. I guess that's the total, antithesis of what you're trying to achieve,
I
right?
think that storytelling is very important, and I think that there's a place for storytelling and AI. And I think we have to remember that there are things that technology can't replace. And in this world where we're highly addicted to our phones, where things can be done for us very quickly, what I see and what scares me for my children and for the world is, have we forgotten what we all have in common, which is that we all feel pain and we all go through hard things and we all are afraid of our potential at times. Um, Frankly, I want adults to do the program too, because
Right.
after the pandemic, a lot of people have forgotten how to talk to each other and to remember, no matter where we come from or what we believe in, we're all just doing this thing called life. And it
Yeah,
can be really challenging sometimes.
absolutely. Absolutely. No, it sounds like a really fun program.
It's the best.
Yeah, and your enthusiasm definitely is showing through here. I want to ask, a lot of people watching this podcast are young people, and it's really geared for people who are starting their career journeys.
Yeah.
What kind of advice would you give to young people starting their careers?
From someone who has walked away, failed, quit, changed paths a lot of times, I would tell you that your story doesn't have to be linear. Your story doesn't have to make sense. This is your life. You're allowed to try new things. You're allowed to make people uncomfortable. You're allowed to make yourself uncomfortable. It's it's an opportunity. Your career is an opportunity to explore your interests, to add value to the world. And I I think that when we're able to focus on the value that we can bring and our unique talents, this is when magic can happen. So I would say, don't stick yourself in a box. Give yourself time to explore. The world is a very different place than it was for my parents from my grandparents' time, and it's only going to continue to change. So having flexibility and range is what I believe will serve the next generation professionals the best. We need to be able to adapt quickly. We need to be able to handle adapting quickly, spend time on emotional regulation, spend time connecting with people who feel like people that you can be yourself around, and don't stay stuck in a place that you hate. There's always another option.
There's always another option, and
There's always another story. What can I tell you?
there's always another story with Zoe's Story Labs, right?
There is.
Uh,
I'm never going to be bored of this business because it's stories and stories and stories and
right.
stories.
And that's never ending, right? Um, Zoe, where can people follow your work if they want to follow what you're doing and support you?
So there's Zoe's Story Labs on Instagram. We're also on that Instagram channel. We're also running a summer creative writing contest for children 7 through 12, which is free to enter, free to register. So you can look there, check out our camps, check out what schools we're going into, check out our at-home kits, see if you want to get your child or yourself started on writing a children's book. And then LinkedIn. I'm often on LinkedIn. I like LinkedIn. I like academic professional pursuits. And you can check us out on our website, zoestorylabs.ca. That's
All
it.
right. Well, listen, Zoe, thank you so much for joining us this morning. You're doing incredible work, and I'm sure you're really changing the lives of these young people. So keep it up, and have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you very much for having me.
Pleasure.